wherever, and all of a sudden the Raid can comes in and they're like, Raid! Very similar. I like to explain it like that. All of a sudden after that first bath, that bacteria and whatever is down in that follicle, all of a sudden that debris has been lifted off the top of the follicle, and you could see right in the animation, they're like, we're in trouble here, boys. We've finally been discovered. But that second and third bath is where the inflammation really settles down and the deep cleaning process starts. Not that it won't in the first bath, but this is, the usual process where we see it. 3, 4, 5 bath packages is where we teach our clients that don't expect miracles. It's very, very common that after the first bath, the dog is even itchier than before. Think of it like this to pet owners. When you've got a scab on your own skin and you pick it early, what happens? It's very itchy.
Yep.
So exact same thing. The amount of debris, and when the sebaceous gland, as produces too much sebum and it hardens into that crust. So think of years or months or what have you of these dogs never getting air or anything else into those follicles. All of a sudden it's been lifted off. Wow, that's going to be pretty itchy.
Yeah.
So this is where we educate our clients. It's like completely normal. Everybody calm down, stay calm. Just come in for your next bath. Again, work with the pet owner and work with the groomer or the vet to avoid the triggers that we know of right now around the house or environmental, what have you. But that second bath is everything's going to be just fine. So it is important to understand that while we have seen and heard of a lot of success in one single bath. Usually it's the story of my dog slept through the night for the first time in X amount of years. We don't hear them scratching or whining and jingling of the collar and stuff like that. That's very, very normal. But it needs to be done in a few packages. And you can work with the groomer or the veterinarian on when to come in and how often.
So, and what would you say is a general rule of thumb? Is it twice a week, once a week? If you've got kind of your run of the mill, I've got a skin infection, it's been going on for a little while, and if your dog has one of those, like they're incredibly itchy, they have one of those reactions afterwards where it's like, oh my gosh, now we've really opened it up and the dog's really itchy. Would you go back sooner for another bath, or would you just ride it out, for 4 or 5 days or 7 days?
Yeah, general rule of thumb that we teach our clients, that Dr. Zeroni and myself and Jeff, Matt, Diane, our team at Thera-Clean, working with the Thera-Clean Army, has seen that, let's say, what is today? Saturday. So if you did your first bath today, come back for your second bath no later than 72 hours, so 3 days. And then generally, it's usually about once a week after that. So, it's more severe issues, 2 to 3 times in the first week, then graduating to twice a week, and then once a week. And then after you've, really helped these pets and, you could see such a huge difference, new hairs coming in. A lot of the pets get puppy hair. Their puppy hair comes back in. And it's a different color, and sometimes the pet owner and the pet owner is like, I don't get it, but I mean, the back right leg there, it's got all this weird hair. It's like, yeah, it's puppy hair. When was the last time that there was hair on there? And we've seen so many breeds, especially the ones that are susceptible to skin problems. They don't get groomed for years, and all of a sudden there's hair everywhere, and they have to get regular grooming. It's just wonderful. That's our favorite part of Thera-Clean, is hearing these kind of stories. But that's generally the usual protocols for the schedule of coming in for your Thera-Clean bath.
Okay, so you mentioned 2 things. One, mites. So for Demodex, because that lives down in the hair follicles, it seems to me this is kind of the perfect treatment for Demodex. Have you had, or have your clients had success treating dogs or cats with demodectic mange without having to use all the drugs and chemicals, just by using the baths?
Yes. And 125 clients right now, and it's escaping me on, I'm trying to go through my Rolodex right now. Dr. Morgan, forgive me on who did that. But generally, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, the usual prescription for demodectic mange is ivermectin?
Yeah, we've got some other nasty ear drugs that people are using, but ivermectin was the old standby, yeah.
We had one in, I want to say it was up by Toronto, Canada, but it might actually be Floss's Grooming in New Jersey around you, where a dog was on the drug, and of course, mom and dad didn't want to keep doing the drugs. Mm-hmm. They weren't getting anywhere. And like it said before at the start of the program, that the Thera-Clean microbubbles help facilitate therapy protocols to become more effective. And then let's see what happens when we get off these hard drugs. So when the dog has a flare-up again, and as most pet owners know, that Demodex is chronic, unfortunately. So when the dog has a flare-up again, it doesn't necessarily have to go back on these drugs. It can come in for a Thera-Clean bath and keep the skin under control. I don't want to promise that to everybody, but we have had a couple cases where it has worked. But yeah, if you are on ivermectin or something like that, you know, as we're trying to get more and more holistic, you're going to get your money's worth, but let's get off of it because, again, this is where the Thera-Clean microbubbles really, really shine, is helping things work, and not saying that it won't work without ivermectin, but we have had some cases. I just have to let me get back to you on who had success on that.
Yeah, well, I have to say we're having some success in our practice with these Demodex dogs, basically just supporting their immune system, getting them on a good diet, getting their immune system back into functioning well, and using the Thera-Clean, and frankly avoiding the drugs as much as possible. And we've had pretty good success. And I think, you know, one of the problems, if you have a dog with chronic, or a cat, I mean, we do see it in cats, if you have a pet with chronic Demodex and you're not doing anything to support that immune system, you know, if you're going to keep pounding it with chemicals and keep pounding it with vaccines and bad diet, you're not going to solve the problem. But I think that the Thera-Clean becomes a wonderful adjunct for therapy along with diet and immune system support, and we can get these animals turned around and make them look really good. And another thing that you mentioned was ears. So give us a little lowdown on this therapy for ears, because, you know, I'm sitting here going, wow, we're putting water in the ears? But it certainly makes sense to get, you know, the goo. I mean, God, the goo that we see in these ears is just really disgusting and chronic. So how's the therapy work for the ear infections, and does it work for all ear infections?
Yeah, so ear infections are tricky, and I'm still learning about them, and so is the rest of our team here at Thera-Clean. But when Dr. Zeroni had started Thera-Clean, I had asked him about ear infections. No different than any other body part. It will pull that bacteria infection completely out of the skin, so why wouldn't it do it for ears? But as we know, that, you know, the pet owners and the pet groomer and the veterinarian, who's all pointing the finger at, you know, the cause of these ear infections. And in our mind, and again, you can see this episode number 3 of Thera-Clean TV. Get past the actor; he's terrible. It's me. But on ear infections, where it's completely safe, getting water in the ears poses no concern. But in our minds, the infection is not caused by water in the ear. It's bacteria that's in the water. And I'll give you a great example with that I explained on that episode of Thera-Clean TV. Is George, my wife and I's boxer, in the summertime, there's a lake that's by our place up here in Vancouver, and he loves going in there. It took me a while to get him to go in there, but I like it there. There's a lot of trails and stuff. So take his ball or his stick, whatever I've got that day, and I throw it into the lake, and he goes in and gets it, and he just has a great time. But 9 out of 10 times we come back, and he's got an ear infection. Now, luckily, I have the technology here, and we just pull it out naturally. So when we're bathing him at home using the same water that we take a bath or a shower in, he never gets an infection.
Right.
So to us, it's not just about getting water in the ear. It's bacteria that's in the water and lack of drying. So how it works, like anything else, and of course those that have dogs with ear infections, cockers and things like that, how's that smell?
Yeah.
When that yeast builds up, you'll see in that episode there is a groomer out of Saskatoon, Canada, that tells a story about this one client of theirs, and I believe it's a 9-year-old terrier, where this dog, the owner has told wherever they got the dog, rescued it or bought or what have you, found it, I don't know, for 9 years, that their dog was deaf and, never really responded to anything. And after one Thera-Clean bath, this green goo starts pouring out of the ear canal. Well, Fido, if you will, had great recall, knows its name. It was never deaf. It had so much bacteria and debris buildup in the canal that it needed to come out. And again,
Right.
no different than any sort of infection anywhere else on the body, it needed to be cleaned first. And the microbubbles, again, they carry that negative ionic charge, and the Thera-Clean microbubble loves organic, positively charged materials. And that yeast, that buildup, that bacteria that's in the canal, they love it, and they'll stick to it like a magnet and pull it out naturally. There's a couple of videos that our clients, I got to get the one from one of our clients in California called Love That Dog and Cat. She had got her system at the time, and she went right to work with a couple clients that were always at the end of their rope with these drops and things like that for the ears. And you can see the black debris, Dr. Morgan, just come pouring out of the ear canal. It's quite amazing, if you will.
The whole
Yep.
system is amazing. And, I'm just sitting here thinking of all these clients that I have that I've got to get them to drive that hour up to Floss's Grooming in Summerdale. So there's a plug for Floss for anybody who's near me. Kyle, we're out of time. This has been amazing and informative, and I'm really thankful that you guys have brought this therapy into this continent to be available for our pets. So for those of you who want more information, it's Thera-Clean.com. Until next week, hug your pets.
That's all for today. Find more answers to your questions next time on Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets every Monday and Tuesday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Time by going to DreamVision7Radio.com. Join holistic veterinarian Dr. Judy to discover healthy options for raising your pets in a more holistic manner. Visit drjudymorgan.com to learn more.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.